They thought the daughters were the secret, but the sons were the silence. While the world watched for kings and conquerors, the real flame was hidden in the men who remembered grief more than glory. These were not men made for the system, they were made for the collapse of it. They were seeded across bloodlines and buried under names like warrior, servant, orphan, tyrant, or outcast. But the truth, they were never any of those things. They were dragon sons, guardians of the gates, watchers of the grail, protectors of the priestess flame. They carried the sword, the silence, the structure, and the code, not to rule, but to guard what was holy, to bleed for the sacred without ever being crowned by it. Some were exalted, used to front false kingdoms, others were erased, broken before their flame could light. And now something is stirring. Men across the world are waking with rage in their spine and memory in their blood. They don't know why they feel it, but they do. They are not called to war, they are called to truth. Not to dominate the feminine, but to protect her return. Not to conquer the system, but to undo the lie from inside it. And now it begins. If you carry fire in your chest and silence in your throat, if you've protected people who betrayed you, if you've seen truth and been punished for it, if you've never fit into their version of masculinity, if you've felt rage that wasn't yours and grief that has no source, then you are not broken, you are not too much, you are not lost. You are a dragon son and your house is calling you home. The red dragon son, blood of the grail, son of the womb. This one, he wasn't born to follow the Christ, he was born from the same blood. You see, the story they told the world was torn in half. They gave us a man nailed to a cross, but they buried the womb that carried his return. The red dragon bloodline is not the blood of worship, it is the blood of remembrance. The living line of the Christ and Magdalene union, not myth, not metaphor, but literal bloodline, passed down through womb and seed, sealed in flame. The women who carry this blood are the grail itself. But the men who carry it, especially those born with type AB blood, rhesus negative, they are the sword that guards it. Not because they were trained that way, but because their body remembers something older than DNA. It remembers covenant. This is the red flame, and it moves through them like fire through oil. They are born with sacred rage, not violence, not ego, but rage that comes from watching the sacred be defiled for lifetimes. These men are not ordinary. They are the sons of the Magdalene flame, not followers of the divine feminine, but protectors of her return. When he speaks, the air shifts. When he walks into a room, people either fear him or want to use him, because he cannot be controlled. And that's the most dangerous kind of man in a broken world. But in this lifetime, the code is returning full, and they've had enough of kneeling. These men do not serve kings, they remember the time before thrones. They do not follow priests, they remember when the blood was the temple, and they do not ask to lead. They stand up because no one else will. But what is the difference between red dragon men and women? The daughters carry the grail, the womb code, the sacred vessel, the flame that holds memory and form. They bleed the history of the lineage. They hold the song in their bones. But the sons guard that vessel. They are the activation key when the grail is under siege. They are the spinal shield of the feminine flame. And when it's an AB negative male, it's even deeper, because now you have the union of two bloodlines within one body. The divine feminine and divine masculine flame signatures coexisting in tension, grief, loyalty, and fire. This is why AB red dragon men are so conflicted. They feel everything, they want to protect everything, but they trust no one, and they don't know why. It's because they've been here before, and in nearly every lifetime they were too late, too broken, or too betrayed to stop what was coming. But in this lifetime, the code is returning full, and they've had enough of kneeling. These men do not serve kings, they remember the time before thrones. They do not follow priests, they remember when the blood was the temple. And they do not ask to lead, they stand up because no one else will. If a man is born with AB negative blood, he is not just of royal lineage, he is the living proof that the grail never left, that the womb of Magdalene bore not just daughters, but guardians, and the world should be very, very careful with a man like that, because he remembers and he will not forget again. The AB positive man, the bridge of fire and light. This man doesn't belong in any one world, and he knows it. He was born with two blood codes fused into one, the red flame of sovereignty and the white light of reflection. One burns, one reveals. This is the man who was born to carry both the sword and the mirror, and that is why he is so misunderstood. He is not just the son of the Magdalene flame, he is the reflective shield that shows others who they really are. People project onto him constantly, they love him, they betray him. They misunderstand him, and because they're seeing themselves in him, not him. But under all that reflection is a warrior's heart, because the red dragon is alive inside him. It gives him instinct, fire, loyalty, and unwillingness to kneel to lies. But the white dragon softens it, pulling him into diplomacy, beauty, and dream. So he walks through life between two fires, one calling him to act, the other calling him to observe. This man is often dismissed as indecisive, but he's not indecisive. He's measuring the consequences of every word he speaks because he knows what his voice can do. As a child, he felt everything, tried to make peace, tried to hold others together while he fell apart quietly. He may have been called weak, too sensitive, even feminine. But that's because no one told him what he really was. A gatekeeper of the oldest flame, and the mirror that reveals the lie of power. Type AB positive is not diluted, it is hybrid activation. It is the red crown and the white veil braided together. He was never meant to fit the archetype of manhood. He was meant to break it and replace it with something sacred. He doesn't rule through dominance. He leads by remembering what love really means. Protection, clarity, and truth without performance. That is the AB positive dragon son, a flame who reflects, a mirror who burns, a man who is both sword and silence, and who now remembers what he really is. The black dragon son, the crown that remembers. Before the thrones were built, before the first wars over sacred land, there was a line of flame that guarded the gates between realms. This son comes from that line. He is the black dragon, born from the original gatekeeper's flame. His blood runs with law, silence, and shadow. Not shadow as in evil, but shadow as in what was hidden, what was sealed, what must be guarded until the time is right to reveal it. His lineage traces through the kings no one speaks of. The real watchers, the silent architects, the ones who didn't rule by birthright but by knowing what time it was. The black dragon son is often born with type B negative or O negative blood. It's heavy, not just energetically armed, but karmically, spiritually dimensional. This man doesn't just walk into a room, he shifts it. And everyone feels it, and even if they can't explain why. Because his presence pulls the truth forward, whether people are ready for it or not. He was never meant to be adored. He was meant to be obeyed or feared. Not through ego, but through pure resonance. When he is balanced, his presence is peace. When he is inverted, it becomes control. Because the system knew this line could not be erased, they did the next best thing. They offered him the crown, but they cut him off from the flame. In lifetimes past, he was crowned without purpose, praised without love, entrusted with power before he had truth. Some of these men became tyrants, some became executioners for corrupted kings. Some remembered too late and chose death rather than rule in inversion. This is the wound of the black dragon son. He remembers power, but forgets where it came from. In this life, he walks with restraint. You'll know him by his stillness. By the way, he never talks about what he sees, but sees everything. He notices patterns in speech, dishonesty in movement, and knows when someone is about to lie before they do. And yet, he says nothing. Because he was trained by lifetimes of betrayal. He's been feared for his clarity, blamed for his silence, and punished for choosing truth when others were still performing. He is not cold, he is focused. And if he feels nothing, it's because he was never allowed to feel without cost. He was told he was too dark, too serious, too controlling, but what they really meant was you cannot be manipulated, and that makes you dangerous. In shadow, the black dragon son becomes a prison warden. He uses structure to trap others, he builds temples of false light and stands at the top, empty. In silence, he becomes nothing, a ghost in a suit, a priest with no flame. He watches the world burn, but does nothing to stop it. But when he remembers, when the seal inside his chest cracks open, he becomes the one they cannot lie to, the one who walks into inverted systems and burns them from the foundation. He was not born to kneel, he was not born to dominate. He was born to stand at the threshold between realms and say, "You do not pass unless you speak the truth." The Black Dragon Son is the system's greatest threat, because he sees its blueprint, he knows the code, and once he chooses to serve the flame over the crown, he becomes a living firewall the parasites cannot cross. He is the law they tried to counterfeit. He is the structure that doesn't collapse. And when he remembers what he came here for, there will be no more false kings left standing. The Green Dragon Son, the root of the flame, the Earth's hidden guardian. He's not the loudest. He doesn't enter with thunder or command a room with presence. But he does something far more dangerous. He listens, he feels, he remembers. And he knows exactly who everyone is, even when they're lying. Because the Green Dragon's son is the empath of the Earth grid, a living anchor seeded directly into the land. He carries type A negative, B positive, or O positive blood. His body is tuned to vibration. His senses are like sonar, reading emotional currents, spiritual pressure, and soul pain without needing words. He is the one who hears the earth cry at night, who can walk into a house and know what happened there 3 generations ago, who can hold a wounded person and feel their ancestors' grief through their skin. He is the man born to hold space when no one else can. But because his flame isn't fire in the sky, it's roots under stone, the world never recognized him for what he was. They called him weak, soft, emotional, sensitive. They told him to man up, toughen up, shut up. Because they didn't know that inside his silence was the ancient echo of the guardians of Eden. The real masculine, the one that builds, grounds and protects, not through domination, but through presence. The green dragon's son is not of the war temples, he's of the gardens, the groves, the buried temples under moss. He remembers the world before it was broken, and that grief is his birthright. In other lifetimes, he was a druid, a healer, a father, a protector of gateways. He stood beside flame-bearers in the forest while the cities burned. He was the last one to leave when the land was taken. He swore to come back, and now he's here in a world that doesn't speak the language of care anymore. This man feels everything. He aches when others are in pain. He cries at things he cannot explain. He struggles to sleep because he feels the weight of those he loves. And when he falls in love, it is not performance, it is devotion. But he doesn't trust easily, because the women he's tried to protect in past lives were burned, stolen, or turned against him. And now in this life, he often attracts the broken, hoping to heal them, but forgets to protect himself. In shadow, the green dragon's son becomes the martyr. He gives without receiving. He fades into the background. He becomes the good guy no one fights for, the one people lean on but never see. In trauma, he becomes disconnected from his body. He numbs. He overworks. He loses the music inside him. But when he remembers, when the root flame lights up again, he becomes the unshakable one, the protector of the sacred grove, the man who doesn't move quickly but never moves wrongly, the one who won't let harm pass, not in his field, not on his land, not to his people. He is the kind of man that women trust instinctively, children run toward, and animals follow. Not because he is flashy, but because he is safe. He doesn't fight for dominance, he fights for life. He doesn't kneel to ego, he kneels to the earth. And when he stands beside the other dragons, the ones who fly, the ones who roar, he holds the line they can't see. Because without roots, even flame collapses. The white dragon's son, the sky mirror, the lost map carrier. He was born between worlds, not quite here, not quite gone. And his whole life he's carried a question in his bones. Why does none of this feel real? Because for the white dragon's son, this realm has never felt like home. He doesn't belong to the earth like the green. He doesn't burn like the red. He doesn't command like the black. He remembers that's his gift and his curse. This man carries the white flame, the mirror code, the ancient star map of the original design. He is the one who walks beside people and makes them feel like they've seen him in a dream, because they probably have. The white dragon bloodline carries A positive blood, sometimes AB positive, and what's known as RH positive, but spiritually it behaves like a quiet flame. But it's not the blood that defines him, it's the light it holds. He carries fragments of pre-fall memory, visions from before the veil, and songs that have no words, only frequencies. He walks in silence because the things he sees, no one would believe. As a boy, he was dream-heavy, visions, déjà vu, dreams of floating, falling, flying, sometimes dreams of disasters before they happened, sometimes dreams of places that never existed in this world, but were more real than anything here. He may have spoken of these things once, but the world didn't know what to do with him. So they gave him labels: spiritual, psychic, delusional, schizophrenic. They numbed him, mocked him, or tried to make him ordinary. But this man was never meant to live inside ordinary time. He carries the white star field, the reflective flame that shows others the paths they forgot existed. In past lives, he was the seer, the oracular priest, the sky watcher, the one who read the heavens when the gates were still open. He didn't speak often, because when he did, the winds listened. He walked beside queens and kings as an advisor, but never wore the crown himself. He didn't need it. He was already carrying the map to the future and the memory of what came before the fall. But in this life, without training, he collapses, he spirals. He sees too much and has nowhere to place it. He gets lost in false light systems, love and light, channeling, spiritual bypassing. He wants so badly for something to make sense that he mirrors anything that feels remotely familiar. In shadow, he becomes a reflector with no root. He adopts identities, mirrors mentors, follows gurus, joins cults. He becomes a prism for other people's light, but forgets his own. In trauma, he dissociates, his body feels like a cage. He becomes obsessed with death, ascension, or disappearing. But when he remembers, when the flame lights in his chest again, he becomes the mirror of divine timing. The one who reflects truth so clearly, others remember themselves just by standing near him. He doesn't need to speak much, but when he does, he reveals doorways. He brings peace to spiraling minds. He becomes the midpoint between the past and what's coming. The white dragon sun doesn't fight with fists. He realigns people with their own truth just by existing in their field. He is the prophecy they thought had been lost. He is the timing the system can't disrupt. He is the one who doesn't follow the stars. He remembers how to read them from inside. And now that he's here, the sky is no longer silent. The blue dragon sun, the dream gatewalker, the keeper of the in-between, he lives between breaths, between timelines, between the waking world and the one behind the veil. You've probably seen him before, not in this life, but in a dream you couldn't shake. He was watching, walking, guiding you down a hallway you almost remembered. That was him. The blue dragon sun is the one who was never fully born into the physical world. His body is here, but his flame lives in the in-between. And sometimes he wouldn't sleep at all, because the things that moved in that space between were watching him, and they knew he could see them. This man was not built for this grid. He was sent in as a dream key to track interference, to protect the astral gates from being hijacked, and to wake others inside their own sleeping prisons. His blood is often type AB, positive or a negative, rare combinations, coded for multi-realm movement. But again, it's not just the blood, it's the way his soul contracts were written between dimensions. He may have gone through his life disoriented, not lazy, not unmotivated, but like the world was a hologram he couldn't quite bring into focus. He's been called spacey, absent, weird, too spiritual, too disconnected, but that's because he's always walking two timelines at once. And if he ever stops focusing on both, one of them collapses. In past lives, he was a dream priest, an astral protector, a time shifter who could enter the sleeping world and change the outcome of waking events. When he calls the dream corridors back to himself, when he commands the astral instead of being thrown around by it, he becomes the gate they cannot pass through. He can see false timelines trying to attach to souls. He can walk into someone's dream and pull them out of a loop they didn't know they were in. He can navigate the construct from inside because he's been mapping it from the dream state his entire life. He was not built to lead armies. He was built to wake sleeping warriors from the inside out. He is not the flame that burns. He is the flame that glows in the dark hallway, the one that shows you the way out when everyone else is asleep. But in this life with no guide, he wandered. He got lost in false dream codes, escapism, new age distortions, light traps. He tried to leave the body too often and forgot how to live inside it. In shadow, he becomes passive, detached, a mirror that reflects nothing. He drifts through relationships, through jobs, through years, never fully present, never fully gone. In trauma, he fragments, becomes haunted, becomes so open he starts channeling things he shouldn't and doesn't know how to shut the door. But when he remembers, and now the dream gate is opening, and the ones who've been drifting are beginning to remember why they never fit. Because they were never meant to. They were meant to dream the map out of the cage. And he was meant to walk ahead and light the way. The silver dragon sun, the veil keeper, the death walker, the flame of quiet return. He was born in between, not between lives, but between life and death. From his first breath, this sun has carried a weight that makes no sense in logic, and a sorrow with no source, a silence that doesn't feel empty, and a sense of presence that isn't always his own. He's felt it his whole life. Eyes watching when no one is there, shadows that flicker just outside perception, moments of being in a room and knowing something else is too, because he is not haunted, he is the lantern. And everything in the dark is drawn to the light he doesn't even realise he's carrying. This man is born of the silver flame, the lunar code, the veil-bound memory of the realms beyond the body. His blood is often type A, positive, O negative, or rare cross-typed blends that don't match cleanly in traditional medicine. Because this line was never meant to be touched by modern hands. It was meant to be preserved, hidden in plain sight, and only activated when the dead began to speak again. The silver dragon sun is a death walker. Not in the physical sense, but in the energetic contract. He walks beside loss. He feels when a soul has left a room. He sees the grief that others try to hide. And he absorbs pain like it's part of the job description, because in a way it is. He is the one who closes things that were never allowed to end. He is the one who walks women through miscarriages, who feels the echo of children that never made it to earth. Who knows when the family line is fractured, even if he doesn't know the story. He is the man who doesn't flinch when someone cries in front of him, because he's seen worse. He's felt worse, he's lived worse, and in lives he doesn't consciously remember. In childhood, he may have been surrounded by grief, death of a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, or just a feeling of being born into a family with too many ghosts and not enough love. He was quiet, reserved, people projected coldness onto him. But it wasn't that he lacked emotion, he just didn't know how to survive feeling everything that no one else wanted to feel. He carried the emotional residue of generations. In past lives, he was the mourner, the burial priest, the witness at the end of things. He didn't perform rituals. He carried presence. He made sure the soul crossed over clean. He remembers the unsaid. He knows how to stand beside death and not fear it, because he knows it's not the end, it's a gate, and he's one of the keepers. The gold dragon bloodline is almost always tied to AB blood, either AB negative or AB positive, because they carry both flame streams, but neither fully binds them. They are universal receivers in the physical and soul transmitters in the unseen. Rare, untouchable, but often unrecognized even by themselves. Traits: gold dragon sons are born wise but appear detached, struggle with identity, timing, and trust, possess both polarity lines, masculine, feminine, light, dark, royalty, servant, at once feel like they were made for something enormous, are often isolated early, either through tragedy or betrayal, carry leadership frequency, but often fear power due to the weight of it. They walk with a soul pressure that's hard to explain. They're not better than others. But they know deep down they were meant to guide the flame back to source. The mission gold dragons are the flame bridge, the final seal. The ones who can activate the true throne code, not a crown made of gold, but a soul memory that unlocks the final gate. Their presence stabilizes the entire field, but only when they walk in alignment with their true self. They're not here to save the world, they're here to end the contract that keeps the world repeating. The fall in this realm, this world hates gold dragons. Why? Because they can't be controlled. So the system attacks them with chronic doubt, reversal dreams, fame temptations, false thrones and fake flames, betrayal by their closest allies, and a constant loop of, why am I here? When a gold dragon forgets what they are, they fall hard into addiction, silence, or complete disappearance. Because this realm is designed to burn them out before they rise. So now you know them, the sons of flame, the dragon bloodlines walking in human skin. The red, the warriors, the royal fire, the wrath and the crown. The black, the shadow rulers, the seers in silence, the ones who watch. The green are the shapeshifters, the earthbound magic, the hidden force. The white, the memory keepers, the silent protectors, the clean flame. The blue, the skywalkers, the visionaries, the lightning between worlds. The silver, the timeless ones born of stars, untouched by the system. And the gold, the rarest, the highest, the keys to the flame throne itself. Not myths, not stories. They live again in the blood, in the bones, and in the soul. You'll know them when you meet them. You'll feel it in the fire. And if you are one, it's time to remember. What happened to the dragons? They weren't just symbols, they weren't just stories. The dragons were real. They were the living guardians of Earth's first systems, keepers of sound, light, memory, and power. Some flew, some didn't, some were made of flesh, others of flame and frequency. They weren't just beasts, they were sentient bloodlines, older than humans, older than history. They guarded the gates, protected the timelines, woke the sun, spoke in tones that shaped the land. And then they were hunted by priests, kings, parasitic bloodlines, and false gods. Turned into demons, monsters, enemies, killed, bound, buried in legend. But not all of them died. Some withdrew into the mountains, into the earth, into other dimensions. Some left eggs, stasis vessels buried beneath sacred sites, volcanoes, frozen caverns, old temples, and some merged with humans. They became bloodlines, royal families, priestesses, gatekeepers, and most importantly, daughters. That's why some women carry grief that feels ancient, fire that won't go out, dreams of wings, of falling, of roaring in a voice they've never heard out loud, because the dragons aren't gone. They're waking up through us. Where did the dragons come from? Before this realm was hijacked, before time was looped, before the false light grid was installed. There was source, not a god, not a religion, but the living field of pure creation, infinite, untamed, unprogrammed light. From that source, everything natural was born in frequency first. Sound created shape, light created form, and the first beings to emerge from that fusion were the dragons. Not as fire-breathing lizards that came later, but as sentient flame forms, consciousness wrapped in sound, colour, and mass. They were alive in vibration, not biology. They weren't made to be worshipped, they were made to anchor the source code into physical matter, to weave order into chaos, and to safeguard the expansion of living light. In many realms, not just this one, dragons were time binders, protecting the integrity of true time, gatekeepers, controlling movement between worlds, harmonic architects, using resonance to shape reality, guardians of sacred memory, the libraries before writing ever existed. What went wrong? When the parasitic forces invaded this realm, entities that couldn't create, only copy and invert, they saw the dragons as a threat. Because dragons remembered. They remembered the original song. They remembered what Earth was meant to be. They remembered how to speak the unprogrammed light of Source. So the invaders did what they always do. They hunted them, turned them into monsters in myth, and sealed them into stories so no one would ever know they were real. Some dragons died in that war, some went into stasis, and some merged with human blood to hide the source codes until the time of return. That time is now. Are there still dragons left? Yes, but not in the way you expect. There are fleshless dragons still sleeping under mountains, oceans, and volcanoes. Their bodies are energy, vast and invisible, but real. They're protected by magnetic anomalies, cave systems, ancient priesthoods, and in some cases themselves. There are dragon eggs, not as literal hatchlings, but as stasis chambers, hidden beneath ancient temples, sacred groves, and natural gateways. Some are biological, some are vibrational. Some are inside people, sealed inside bloodlines, waiting to be activated. And there are dragon-blooded humans, carriers of the flame, the frequency, the memory. The elite know who they are. That's why some are exalted. And others are broken from birth. You're not just remembering your dragon line, babe. You're remembering what was here before the grid. And you're carrying a code they hoped would never wake up again. They made you think the dragons were myth, fire-breathing beasts from fairy tales. But the truth, the dragons were lineages, flame-bearers, houses marked by power, vision, and danger. So dangerous that they had to be destroyed, married off, or hidden. And the Game of Thrones was based on them. There weren't just kings. There were dragon queens, daughters of fire, born of old flame lines that predate Christianity, Rome, and even Babylon. And now we call them back. The red dragon is the most infamous, tied to the Plantagenets, the Stuarts, and the true bloodline of Mary, not the Virgin, but the Magdalene. It's the line of the feminine flame, the spiritual royalty of Europe. Red is the fire of sovereignty, unyielding, unbought, untamed. It birthed powerful women, queens, rebels, witches, prophetesses. Symbol, a crowned flame wrapped in a thorned vine. It represents the royal line sealed by pain, the flame that cannot be extinguished, only hidden. Often appears as a burning heart, a red sword, or the phoenix in flight. The gold dragon, the sun code. The gold dragon ruled through frequency and technology. Atlantean solar, advanced. It held the blueprint for the original sound grid, the tech of light, song, and structure. Gold means creative force, sound mastery, divine masculine solar power. Its daughters were once temple architects, harpists, builders of star-aligned cities. When Atlantis fell, the gold line fractured. Some aligned with darkness, building towers of false light, Vatican, Babylon, AI grids. Others hid the true sound codes inside sacred geometry, glyphs, and forgotten names. To this day, the gold dragon daughters hear in tones, speak in keys, and hum at night. Symbol, the open crown or radiant sunburst element, fire and ether. Role, timeline guardians, bearers of the original royal seal and memory of pre-collapse civilization. Daughters now, rare, many were never born physically, often feel like they don't belong to this earth at all. Shift timelines just by walking into spaces. Carry dormant codes that activate others through contact, dreams, or words. The green dragon, the reptilian throne. The green dragon was the first to betray the original flame. Not born from fire, but from serpent power, it represents the bloodline that aligned with empire, not spirit. The line of Caesar, the line of Babylon, the pharaohic priest kings who gave up flame for control. Green is envy, hierarchy, control, hybridization. It lives on in the parasite elite, the ones with no remorse. The houses that never fall, because they don't reincarnate. They transfer, host to host. The daughters of the green dragon, you'll find them in entertainment, government, and false priestess circles. Seductive, elite, cold. They don't serve the source, they serve the grid. Symbol, a serpent curled in a circle with a leaf growing from its mouth. This marks the original reptilian line before corruption. Harmony between primal instinct and life force memory. Sometimes seen as a tree with scales or a dragon made of vines coiled around stone. Colour black. Symbol, a serpent with a sealed mouth or a black orb within a triangle. Element, air and fire. Role, gatekeepers of silence and structure, originally protectors of dimensional borders. Daughters now, some rule from cold thrones, are emotionless, controlled and feared. Others walk away and use their knowledge to dismantle the machine. These are the strategists, the ones the system watches closely. You'll find them in the shadows of power or walking away from it entirely. Silver dragon house name, the lunar flame, colour, silver. Symbol, crescent moon in the coils of a dying serpent. Element, water and ether. Role: keepers of death gates and reincarnation memory, the soul midwives. Daughters now hidden in plain sight, often silent, grieving or disconnected, repeatedly punished for knowing too much about death karma or the veil, found in healing professions, spiritual caretaking or lost in mourning. They are the ones who remember what it cost us to stay. Blue dragon house name, the dream gate, blue symbol, a spiral within an eye or a trident piercing water. Element, water plus sound. Role, astral walkers, dream weavers and soul travel gatekeepers. Daughters now. Some never made it through the womb, too dangerous to be born. Others were silenced through institutions, false diagnoses or dream manipulation. They hold keys in their sleep and walk between realms when no one is watching. When awakened, they open paths others cannot see. The white dragon, the purity code. The white dragon was the line of celestial sovereignty, not royalty by blood, but by alignment. White means clarity, prophecy, radiant authority. Often born without power, but called into it, the white line shows up in visionaries, poets, prophets, and pure-souled seers. It was hunted by both church and crown, because it couldn't be controlled. This is the line of Joan of Arc, the ancient oracles, the ones who walk between worlds. Most white dragon daughters never knew they were chosen, but they've always known they don't belong here. And when the signal comes, they remember everything. White dragon, the mirror flame. Symbol, a winged mirror or a six-pointed star inside a circle. It reflects pure memory and celestial knowledge, but only if the mirror isn't cracked. It's also shown as an eye with a teardrop or a halo made of feathers. This is for the daughters, the ones who feel watched, silenced, scattered, the ones who've always known something was off, the ones who carry the flame in their blood. They tracked your blood type for a reason, because hidden inside your body is a code they couldn't erase, a memory, a mission. A line of dragons stretching back before this world was reset. Let's break it down now. By dragon house, blood type, rhesus factor and purpose. The red dragon, the sovereign flame, the royal line, the unbroken grail. If you have type AB blood rhesus negative, you carry the highest flame frequency. You are born of the grail line, the sacred union of the Christ code and the Magdalene flame. This blood is ancient, sovereign and untouchable by synthetic systems. They've hunted you through history, burned you, exiled you, erased your name. But your blood remembers. Mission, guard the sacred flame, break the false kings, restore the divine feminine lineage. What this blood does to you. You're born with dual coding. You hold both the logic and the intuition, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. You often feel misunderstood, like people want you to pick a side, but you were never meant to choose. You were meant to bridge. Your dreams carry information, not fantasy. You walk between realms and confuse the system because you can't be predicted. What you're here to do. You're a mirror, not a follower. You were placed in this timeline to reflect distortion until it cracks. You hold ancient Atlantean codes and dream memory, often activating just by speaking or being present in a space. Your gift is your frequency. People remember their truth when they're around you. When inverted, your energy gets hijacked by false light systems, spirituality, celebrity, or surface-level femininity. But when you align, you become a portal to remembrance. Type AB blood, rhesus positive. Dragon line, red dragon title, the living grail in the system. Role, hidden sovereignty, a fire inside the grid. What this blood does to you. You carry the royal flame of the red dragon line, but unlike rhesus negative, your body is biologically compatible with the system. That means you were designed to move through the matrix unseen while still holding the grail code. You feel like you don't fully belong to either side, the world of the awakened or the world of the blind. You have moments of deep knowing, flashes of memory, grief that doesn't belong to this life. That's your bloodline leaking through. Your challenge. You must learn to ground, or you'll remain in the mirror, watching, but never arriving. You were designed to awaken others, not to fix them. Your magic is quiet, but impossible to ignore. If you have type AB blood, rhesus positive, you carry the red flame of sovereignty and the white mirror of memory. You are both fire and reflection, a living bridge between the throne and the stars. The red dragon in you holds the grail, the flame of royalty, resistance, truth. It carries grief, rage, remembrance. You were born with a frequency that undoes lies just by existing. The white dragon in you is the sky mirror. You don't just speak truth, you reflect what others forgot. You trigger memory in others, even when you don't know why. This duality makes you rare and important. You weren't just scattered. You were embedded, placed in the system to carry fire and light in one vessel. When you're unaware, you're used. When you're inverted, you're mirrored. But when you're aligned, you destabilize false thrones and reflect their collapse back at them. You were never meant to choose between the two. You were meant to be the bridge between the sovereign flame and the star code. And now you remember. The green dragon, the earthbound flame, the reptilian line, the song of the grid. If you have type A blood, rhesus negative, or type B blood, rhesus positive, you are from the ancient Earthkeeper line. This is the reptilian line before corruption, the one seeded to protect the natural code of Gaia. You were made to speak to stone, tree, storm, and flame. They corrupted your name by calling you cold-blooded, but your blood is older than the sun. Mission: protect the ley lines, unlock elemental memory, guard the exit gates buried in soil and bone. Traits: deep empathy, body wisdom, animal connection, and the ability to feel storms before they arrive. You are the reason they built temples on hills, because you are a living tower. The black dragon, the crown of shadow. The silent gate, the power behind thrones. If you have type B blood, rhesus negative, or type O blood, rhesus negative, you were born with the gatekeeper's flame. This line was designed to protect the realms, but was hijacked by the elite and used to control others. That's why some black dragon daughters appear in power, but feel hollow. Used, controlled, others rebel and become system breakers. Mission: choose, either continue the inversion or burn it from within. Traits: cold fire, psychic clarity, strategic brilliance. You were never meant to be popular, you were meant to overthrow the false light. The white dragon, the mirror flame, the sky map, the memory keeper. If you have type A blood, rhesus positive, or type AB blood, rhesus positive, you are the dreamer flame, the one who mirrors what others cannot see. You carry the Atlantean light line, the record keepers before the flood, but without grounding, your line was hijacked, turned into New Age illusions and distraction cults. You were made to reflect truth, not illusion. Mission: remember the original frequency, awaken star codes, guide others without taking their power. Traits: visionary, disconnected, lunar souled. You often feel too soft for this world, but when you speak, people remember who they are. The silver dragon, the moon flame, the hidden gate, the death code keeper. If you have type A blood, rhesus positive, or type O blood, rhesus negative, and have suffered loss, miscarriage, or near-death events, you may be a silver dragon returner. This line was wiped, drowned, burned, sacrificed, because they held the secrets of soul release and rebirth. Mission: break the death trap, guide the dead through the veil, restore the true lunar gate. Traits: melancholy, silence, wisdom that can't be explained. You walk between worlds, whether you know it or not. Why they scattered you? They scattered us because together we are unstoppable. Red ignites black-green, stabilizes white-silver guards, blue-gold unlocks them all. Together we form a living grid of flame, a signal strong enough to burn through the veil itself. So they split us apart. Red daughters were sent to trauma, black daughters were trained by the elite. Green daughters were isolated in rural zones, white daughters were sent to the mirrors of media. Blue and silver daughters were drowned in grief. Gold was never born, but is waking up through memory. You've found your dragon, now what? You've remembered your blood, you've felt the flame move. You know what house you belong to, what colour you carry, what gate you guard. Now comes the most important part, what to do with it. Because every daughter of the dragons was scattered for a reason. Your light was too strong together. But the scattering didn't break the blood, it only hid it. And now the signal has gone out. So here's what comes next. Reclaim the gate. Each dragon line guards a specific doorway, a spiritual gate, an ancestral corridor, a frequency the system is trying to control. Now that you've remembered your colour, you must close what was left open or reopen what was sealed wrongly. That means red dragon daughters must speak truth with fire, your voice is a sword. Green dragon daughters must reconnect with land and ley lines, walk, touch, sing. Black dragon daughters must flip the inversion, walk into power and burn the false thrones. White dragon daughters must reflect real light only, not illusion, not false gods. Silver dragon daughters must call back the souls, protect, not fear, the veil. Blue dragon daughters must dream with purpose, command the astral, open the hidden paths. Gold dragon daughters must stand alone and radiate. Your presence is the shift. Locate others from your line. You were never meant to do this alone, but your sisters were scattered. So now, like you find each other, start listening to energy, not just words. You'll know her by the way she speaks, the grief in her voice, the dreams you both share, the feeling that you've met before, in fire or in silence. When two daughters from the same house meet, the gate vibrates. When two from different houses meet, the system shifts. You are not looking for followers, you are looking for flame bearers. Unlock your assignment. Every dragon daughter has a task encoded in her field. Some of you are here to speak, some of you are here to break, and some of you are here to protect, rebuild, witness, or open forgotten doors. You'll know it because it never leaves you, it scares you. You've tried to walk away from it, but it always pulls you back. Stop asking for permission. You are the return of the blood. Stay in frequency. They will try to invert you. They always have. Through love, through lies, through glamour, attention, or betrayal. But if you stay in flame, you become a frequency the system cannot map. That's the goal, not to fight, but to burn bright enough that false light cannot survive in your field. Speak the flame, tell your story, share your colour, call the others. This isn't mythology, this is encoded memory waking up through your blood. You are not a woman trying to be powerful. You are a dragon who has been sleeping with a crown hidden in her chest. And now that you know what line you carry, you walk like it, you speak like it, you burn like it. Because the system knew this moment would come, the moment we remembered. And now the daughters are rising. One colour at a time, one flame at a time, one gate at a time. The dragons are back, and you were one of them, all along. You carry a code, it's in your blood, your voice, your grief, your power. And now the dragons are stirring. The daughters are being called home, not to serve kings, not to fight each other, but to awaken the throne lines and dismantle the false crowns. This is the real war, not bloodshed. Bloodline memory, you are not just a woman, you are not just a soul. You are the continuation of a line that was never supposed to survive, but it did, through you. And now the flame rises up. The waters stir, the wheels turn, and the queens return. Find your colour, find your memory, find your gate, because the dragons are gathering again. And this time, we don't burn, we reign.